Dave Morris. Thanks for clicking on the play. Coming up in today's episode, we'll look at why Edmond city leaders are looking to move a proposed hotel and conference center, and not very far. And several Oklahoma counties could be receiving some emergency funding. But first, how the partial government shutdown is affecting one of Oklahoma's nutrition programs. Here to tell us about these stories, the Oklahoman's Nick Tragakis from the Oklahoman's Newsroom. Nick, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Let's lead off with that one about the Oklahoma nutrition programs, a story Jacqueline Cosgrove is working on.
Yeah, it's popularly known as the WIC program. It's Women, Infants, and Children. It's a supplementary food program. It's targeted especially to single mothers, mothers of young children, pregnant women, and it helps them with money for food for themselves and their younger children. It is a completely federally funded program. And the news we're hearing today is that if the federal government shutdown isn't resolved by November 1st, the WIC program will be out of money. They've had to dip into some reserve funds to keep the program going since the shutdown started. And unfortunately, they've set this end date now of November 1st of where, hey, we're just going to be out of money and we won't be able to provide these benefits anymore.
Well, speaking of Washington, our man in Washington, Chris Castile, has the following story where a recent poll shows Oklahomans overwhelmingly support a new immigration proposal. What can you tell us about this story?
Yeah, it's a 4 out of every 5 Oklahomans who were polled showed support for a Senate passed immigration bill. The bill would call for tighter border controls, for a 10-year path to citizenship, for immigrants who have a job, pay taxes, stay out of trouble with the law, things like that. It's an interesting kind of twist on things because typically you think anything that comes out of the Senate, it's a Democrat-controlled issue, and probably it would not have a warm reception in Oklahoma, which is obviously a red state. But what the pollsters found was that 4 to 5 actually liked this version of immigration plan that the Senate came up with.
Interesting stuff. Well, you may have been woken up this morning by the hail and the rain. I know I certainly was as that came through. Well, parts of the state are still dealing with drought conditions today. Governor Fallin declared a drought emergency for some Oklahoma counties. What's the news on that front?
It's 5 counties total. Up in the Panhandle is Texas County, and then in far southwest Oklahoma, Jackson, Tillman, Greer, and Harmon counties. Fallin has declared this state of emergency for drought, and what that means now is that the states will have a crack at some money from a special fund for this particular type of drought emergency that was actually just created in the past legislative session. So some recent action by lawmakers, and now we did get rain here in the metro, but they're still struggling out there on the western side of the state, and so maybe now they'll have some funds to help people with that situation.
Well, one last story to tell you about. I mentioned this story out of Edmond where city councilors have been asked to move the proposed hotel and conference center, and not that far, just a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, if you're familiar with development in Edmond, then you'll know about the Interstate 35 Covell intersection. It's been predicted now for several years to be a hotbed of development, and there's some really concrete plans coming in there, including this hotel and convention center. It was going to be right at the intersection of Covell and I-35. Well, some retailers who are also planning to be in the area petitioned the city council saying, can we push the conference center back a bit so we can get storefront space right close to that intersection?
Seems to make sense.
The city council, by all accounts, is amicable to this. They want to help the retailers because they understand they'll get some tax proceeds from those sales that are going to happen there. And they actually think pushing the hotel and conference center back away from the interstate a little bit will just create a nicer atmosphere there, less road noise and traffic and stuff like that. They have till the end of the year to decide. It looks like that's a move they're probably going to approve.
All right, very good. Nick, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
These stories and more can be found in upcoming editions of The Oklahoman and on our website at newsok.com. Have a great night, everybody.